I still remember the night it happened. The night they came. It was late, past midnight. My son, Jake, was fast asleep upstairs. The farm had been quiet, peaceful, the way it always was at that hour. I had just finished checking the horses, making sure the barn was locked up tight. Out here, miles from town, we didn't have neighbors close by. It was just me, Jake, and the land my father left me. I had fought hard to keep it. After my service, 10 years in the Green Berets as a sniper, I wanted nothing more than a quiet life. Raising my boy and tending to the farm. I thought I had left the fight behind. I thought I had escaped the violence, the fear, the need to always be watching over my shoulder. But trouble has a way of finding you, even when you're not looking for it. That night, I heard the rumble of truck engines before I saw the headlights cutting through the darkness. My gut told me right away, this wasn't good. I grabbed my rifle from the closet and eased the door open just enough to peek outside. The air was still, thick with an uneasy silence that sent chills up my spine. I had been trained to listen to those feelings, to trust my instincts, and right then, every part of me screamed danger. 5 men, rough-looking, armed. They didn't knock, they didn't have to. The leader, a tall, greasy-haired man with a scar across his cheek, called out, "Come on out, lady, we ain't gonna hurt you, just wanna talk." Lies. I stayed quiet, heart pounding. These weren't just trespassers. These were outlaws, the kind who took what they wanted and left nothing but pain behind. I had seen their kind before, overseas and back home. They preyed on folks like me, single, isolated, vulnerable. They saw a woman alone on a farm with a child and thought I'd be easy pickings. Except I wasn't. I moved fast, grabbing my sidearm and slipping out the back door, staying low. Years of training kicked in like I'd never left the battlefield. I circled around, using the shadows, the trees, every bit of cover the land gave me. My heart raced, but my mind was sharp, my breathing steady. It was like slipping into an old version of myself. One I had buried deep, but never forgotten. The men split up, a mistake. They thought they were hunting me, but they had no idea they had just stepped onto my battlefield. I had spent years learning to move unseen, to strike before the enemy even knew I was there. And tonight, these men were the enemy. The first one never saw me coming. I knocked him out cold before he could even call for help. The second, I took down with a swift strike to the throat. He crumpled, gasping for air, before falling unconscious. 2 down, 3 to go. Then I heard Jake's scream. I turned to see Scarface yanking him out the front door, holding a gun to my baby's head. My heart stopped. Everything in me went still. I had faced death before, had stared down the barrel of a gun more times than I could count, but never like this. Never with my son's life on the line. "Come on out, lady," he sneered, "or the boy gets it." I stepped into the porch light, my rifle raised. My hands were steady, my mind clear. I had made shots from miles away in war zones, under fire, with lives on the line. This was personal. "You let my son go," I said, my voice cold as steel. Scarface chuckled. "Or what?" I shot the gun clean out of his hand. He screamed, dropping Jake. My boy ran straight to me, and I shielded him behind me, my rifle now aimed right between Scarface's eyes. "Or that," I said. The remaining 2 ran for their truck, dragging their injured buddies with them. Scarface clutched his bleeding hand, backing away. "You crazy. Next shot won't be a warning," I said. "Get off my land." They left, tires spitting gravel as they tore down the road. I stood there, rifles still raised, until their taillights disappeared into the night. The adrenaline was still rushing through my veins, but I forced myself to take deep breaths to stay calm. My body was trained for moments like this, but it was my heart that ached. I knew the fear I had just put into those men's hearts because I had lived it myself. They would never forget this night, and neither would I. Then I turned to Jake, dropping to my knees and pulling him into my arms. He was shaking, crying, but safe. I held him close, pressing a kiss to his head. "Mom," he whispered. I was so scared. I stroked his hair, my own tears falling. "Me too, baby, but it's over now." And it was. I called the sheriff, and by morning they had Scarface and his crew in custody. Turns out they had been terrorizing farms up and down the county, thinking they were untouchable. They learned the hard way that not every farm belonged to an easy target. I had left the battlefield, but I would always be a soldier. And when it came to protecting my son, my home, there wasn't a force on earth that could stop me. That night, Jake slept in my bed, curled up against me. I stayed awake, listening to the quiet, holding on to the one thing that mattered most. I knew that no matter what came next, I would fight for my son. For this land, for the peace I had built with my own two hands. I spent the next morning fixing the damage they left behind. The broken lock on the barn, the footprints in the dirt, the reminders of what had happened. But I also spent it teaching Jake. Teaching him how to be aware, how to listen to his instincts. I wanted him to grow up knowing that strength wasn't just in muscle or weapons. It was in courage, in standing your ground, in protecting what you love. That night, after Jake had gone to bed, I walked out to the porch and looked out over my land. The stars stretched across the sky, endless and peaceful. I had fought so hard for this life, for the quiet, for the chance to just be a mother. And I knew now that I would fight for it again if I had to. They had come thinking I was weak. They left knowing the truth. I was a mother. And I was a warrior. And I wasn't afraid of the dark. Hey everyone, if this story moved you, if it made you think, or if it reminded you why we need to keep having these conversations, please take a moment to like this video. It really helps spread awareness. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. Have you ever witnessed or experienced something like this? Let's talk about it. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're here to share real, powerful stories that need to be heard. Lastly, share this with your friends and family. The more people who see this, the more we can bring awareness and change. Thank you for watching and being part of this journey. Let's keep pushing forward, together.